We filmed an alien-inspired short film exclusively using our in-office virtual production stage. But there was a lot going against us. We wanted to release the film 48 hours after shooting. Our stage is small, which means we're going to have to get creative with the angles we film. And lastly, we needed to make sure that none of the backgrounds looked like a video game, a common problem with virtual production that we'll talk about later. So let's dive behind the scenes and show how we pulled off a great shoot. That being said, not all shoots are perfect, and this one was no exception.
Alright, why don't we give this a try?
Watching the behind the scenes footage back, I have to admit the set kind of looks goofy. And I don't mean what it looks like in the final frame, but then again, this is what virtual production looks like. What we're doing is using the wall and the foreground elements that we've brought in to trick the camera and the viewer into the illusion of depth. And ultimately, although it looks like you have a rag hanging from a C-stand and then just a random massive console in the middle of a room, all that matters is what it looks like in camera. And on this front, quick shout out to our set deck guy, Thomas. You absolutely murdered this shoot, and it would not be nearly as good without you. I mean, just look at the ship's console. He made that from scratch using parts he found at Value Village. It's pretty crazy. So what you're seeing here is a classic film trick called dirtying the frame. We're basically putting a lot of elements in the foreground out of focus and in the background out of focus so that they blend the scene together.
What's this boy up to?
No, I'm just wondering if we can place it so that it actually looks decent. Like, not decent.
Wow.
Hold on. Not decent. I meant like actually.
Disrespect.
Now, being honest, this is a big problem in virtual production. A lot of productions want to show off the virtual elements. The only problem is that we're using a video game engine. So inevitably, a lot of the elements, if overshown, will look like a video game. We need to remember here, the virtual background is an assistant to our scene. It is not the main character.
And just like that, because we were prepped and we have all of our lights situated, 4 minutes later, we've rotated the scene and we're ready to shoot our second angle.
So right now we're doing the over-the-shoulder shots now. So we've got the main two shot of both characters in frame. And now, because the camera isn't moving and the wall isn't moving, we're trying to change the perspective of the live elements to match with what we're going to turn the environment into.
One challenging aspect of working on a wall this size is that the camera can't really move, but the virtual set can. And when the virtual set moves, all of your other set pieces need to move as well. If I'm lighting something one way and I rotate the entire scene, all those lights have to move as well. But I've found a hack specific to virtual production that works well here.
Josh is currently switching the temperatures of the lights because we actually reverse the scene. Unlike traditional filmmaking, we're not moving the actual camera, we're moving the virtual background.
Just light in a triangle. And instead of having to hand bomb those big stands around every single time we made a change, I discovered that if you're using the same lights, which we are using 2 RES 60s in one orbiter, you can just rotate the responsibility of those lights. Let's say I have a warm light, a soft light, and a hard light. What I can do is just flip them all like that. Does that make sense? I'm gonna put a graphic like right here. So that way all the motivation for each scene stays consistent, and because it's a triangle, there's only 3 places my light can be, which is easy for me. On the LED wall, we get a frustum, which shows what the camera sees. Now, because the wall is so small, the camera's gonna take up a lot of that space, and as soon as I move outside of the parameters of the wall, we're no longer looking at our virtual background, we're looking at, well, our studio. And you can notice that in a lot of the outtakes because I was doing a camera move, or I lifted the camera too high, or I just forgot because I'm forgetful.
So this is our last shot in this conversation sequence that we have, and it's the reverse of everything else, which leads into the hallway shot. So this is our first really virtual part of the film. It's gonna show a lot of the wall, which means it needs to look good because it's really easy for shots like this to kind of look virtual production.
When you're shooting on virtual, you want to blend the screen to the real scene as much as you can. So when you haze, it actually blends the light and it diffuses it in a way where it makes the final output look a lot smoother and a lot less virtual.
But I want to play my game, Sphere.
Fine.
I swear, I get it. I'll get you next time.
So maybe we'll do, because we have to get docking based off of her.
Yes, we do his first.
Yeah. So we'll have to rotate the stuff and.
Sweet.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. He's a child, a grown man child that should know how to do this, and you have to do everything for him.
Oh, camera rub.
Someone want to clap? Anybody? Love it. All right. And Action. We're gonna get this shot of Jessica walking in this white light.
Love it.
Okay. And then right after we get that shot, we're gonna change the light to red and do the exact same direction, but Tavis walking.
Right with the gun.
Yes. So we have to make sure we have the lights on ready to go to swap really easily. Do we want to go handheld for this as well, like just light handheld?
Yeah.
I think it would be
we
good.
talk. Yeah, I like that.
I think we should. Okay.
The background is going to move as though we're moving the camera. To simulate that, we've got a treadmill here where our actors, Jessica in this case, is going to be walking at the same pace that the wall is moving. And the last thing we have is objects moving by them as though they were passing in the foreground. So we've got a dolly, and what we're going to do is pull objects at the same pace. So then we are simulating parallax.
Audio, action.
I filmed this part over 2 days. That's why I'm dressed differently. In this short, we had some difficult shots that we needed to get creative to pull off, which is a really fun thing to do, but it takes planning. So let's talk one of them through. In this shot, our actress walks in, presses a button, the lights change to red, and then she sees a xenomorph, who is actually in this scene, Thomas in a black glove, falls back screaming, and it tries to kill her. So here's how we pull it off. We got Beth turning the hue saturation on the orbiter from 0% to 100%, so it went from a white to a deep red. In Unreal Engine, we set the lights to change with a keystroke, and Austin standing behind me holding a mini light, moving it as though a door is opening. Now, all of this had to be perfectly timed with Jessica's button press, and then she had to time the alien's hand with her scream.
We're filming this handheld because it makes the scene more uneasy. It makes it feel like there's less stability and that our actors are out of control. That way, we can get tighter with our shots, more dynamic, and kind of bring a sense of fear to the film side of things.
At this point, we are 2 days deep into the shoot and close to wrapping. But we had the hardest part left. It wasn't technically difficult. It wasn't like a hard camera pull or a hard camera move. Final shots, which were hardest to pull off, was Tavis convincing the audience that what his character was experiencing was terrifying. Only one alive in the vessel, looking for an alien to avenge his dead friend. And honestly, he nailed it.
This is just the final shot of you walking down the hallway into your death, essentially, potential death. Okay, can we put that then on the dolly, and that can be the first thing he grabs when he starts the walking shot?
Yeah, 100%. So at this point, he's watched the thing, so he's leaned in.
Yeah, and he's already
and then he starts to stand. He's going to start to stand up. Basically, he's like when he realizes she's not answering.
Yeah. Action.
Ellen.
L, don't open the door. L, don't open the door. L, don't open the click. And when you hit it, then we change it. We'll give you the button, which is right there. You can hold the button right there.
Action.
L, do not open the door. I repeat, do not open the pod bay door.
Airlock. Breach. Airlock. Breach.
What's the matter, Wyatt? Think the shipment will be too heavy for me?
Action. You can hold the gun, cheat the gun up higher. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So he's here, and then when he turns and sees, like you know that like moment we talked about where you realize, you start the line right there. You're like, all I wanted to do was play my game sphere.
Was play my fucking game sphere.
At this point, we had been shooting for a really long time, so I was also making gun trigger noises to show Tavis when the gun would go off in the shot. I don't know, man. We were shooting for a long time, and I was loopy at that point.
I think that's a wrap. I think that's a wrap.
What is that? I can't hear you.
I think that's a wrap.
Now, there is one piece to this puzzle that we haven't discussed yet, and without it, it would not be possible. Seriously not possible. Our coworker Serhi and his work in Unreal Engine. Not only did he make every single environment, he also made the renders for the final. Because of our time constraints, he actually made the final renders of the xenomorph while we were shooting the movie. And although he may have had his hands full during production,
I'm busy right now. I'm busy.
Come on.
We've been working on these Unreal scenes for the last month now, and we are halfway through the second day of shooting, and we just started exporting the scenes now. So without these scenes, the actual short film can't happen, because these are all the external shots, all the shots that happen in space, and also the shot with the alien itself. So we're just exporting. It's a bit of a time crunch, but we're hoping that they export in time and they all look okay, so then we can release this tomorrow.
Without him and his artistry, actually, it wouldn't even be possible. It was also his idea to do an alien short film. The attention to detail in the environments is incredible, and if you haven't seen the videos where we explain his process and how we got to the point of production, you gotta check those out.
Come on.
But yeah, that's how we shot a virtual production short film in 2 days. The lead up to that was much longer. We have about 6 weeks of content if you guys want to check out the playlist. If you haven't seen the short, it's linked here as well. Thanks for watching this one. See you next time.